Doo-doo-dee. It's Nandi!
Hello friends. I'm continuing my series on campaign events, this time covering the new Necrons vs Dark Angels campaign event. It's a pretty tough one, truthfully, and I think that reflects the Necrons in general have slightly underpowered kits. Everything in this video has been done without Anufet or Thothmek, as I figured those would be the two characters that the fewest people have, so as a result you need the other Necrons maxed to rare for all abilities for this standard section. A quick shout out to Pi, who has been invaluable in putting this together. His referral code is on screen as a thank you. People have requested that I point out the trickier stages, also known as token traps, so I've highlighted them here on screen. Feel free to pause or take notes. For those of you that missed my Lion Boss video, these new NPCs have been added to the Dark Angels faction and are our enemies for this campaign event. They have an ability that protects adjacent allies from some damage, and they also take 0 damage themselves. There is this extra little bit of text around their passive that shows that when all of the other Dark Angels are dead, they leave the battlefield, just in case you're wondering how on earth you are going to win battles against units that are invulnerable. For Common 1 we move up Aleph on the left and summon Scarabs. Imispec takes the high ground and kills another enemy while Thutmose kills one on the right flank. Clean up on turn 2. For Common 2, Aleph moves into the middle and summons her Scarabs. Imispec does some damage on the left and Thutmose clears the right flank. Clean up on turn 2. Common 3 starts with Imispec moving into the middle and attacking the closest Dark Angel. Thutmose moves along the left and kills an enemy, and Aleph finishes turn 1 with a summon on the middle Dark Angel of the trio. Clean up on turn 2. For the 3B challenge stage, we turtle in the bottom left. On turn 2 we use all of our actives. First we kill a bunch with Imisprex from high ground, then Aleph makes her Scarabs. Makhotep reactivates them, and then Thutmose uses his active too. That should deal with most of the enemies and give you a comfortable cleanup margin. For Common 4, Makhotep joins the team again. Aleph Null summons on the left, Thutmose moves into the middle and kills an enemy, and Imispec attacks the guy on the right. It should be pretty easy to clean up from there. For Common 5, we spend our first turn moving our Necrons to the southwest and repositioning them. Imispec's Overwatch should kill 1.5. On turn 2, Immo moves onto the high ground on the left, and that should kill most of the enemies with his active. The remaining enemies are low level and low threat and should be easy enough to finish. For Common 6, Mako and Thutmose kill the enemy in the middle while we move into the bottom left. I didn't attack with Imispec, but probably could have for a free bit of damage. On turn 2, Aleph moves up, heals Imispec and summons 2 Scarabs on the southmost Dark Angel. Makhotep then moves into the space and reactivates the Scarabs. Even if they don't self-replicate, that should give you enough extra damage. From there, Imispec and Thutmose finish off the rest, with the Scarabs providing some meat shield distractions. For Common 7 we are up against a bunch of deep striking Terminators, so we turtle into the bottom right corner of the map. On turn 2 we summon with Aleph Null on the northwest Terminator and finish it off with Thutmose. From there, Makhotep reactivates the Scarabs, who distract the Terminators long enough for our team to finish off the battle. For Common 8, Aleph Null summons on the right and Thutmose kills the other right-sided Space Marine. Makhotep and Imispec attack the Dark Angel on the left. Thutmose's active from high ground on turn 2 is really the last key move to this fight, and it's reasonably easy to finish off. Common 9 is a token trap and relies on good damage rolls. Aleph summons on the right, and the rest of our squad moves into the bottom right corner. Thutmose uses his active on turn 2 to deal the bulk of the damage to the Terminators. Makhotep and Imispec finish off the one on the bottom left, and Aleph Null finishes our turn 2 by dealing damage to the enemy on the barbed wire. Hopefully by now you've rolled well enough on your damage to finish on turn 3. Mission 10 is really RNG to win under lightning conditions. We start with Aleph attacking in the middle, and we need Thutmose's passive to finish that Dark Angel off so that his normal attack kills the other guy in the middle. On turn 2, we need Thutmose's passive to hit the Terminator after he moves to the high ground and then uses his active. Aleph Null summons Scarabs, take the high ground with Imispec before you reactivate with the Scarabs, and Imispec's active should finish the fight. Honestly, with the amount of RNG here, you're better off not wasting the energy. We turtle on turn 1 for level 11. On turn 2, Thutmose moves and uses his active to deal most of the damage to the Terminators. A Makhotep normal attack and Imispec active should kill another Terminator, and then Aleph Null summons on a guy at the back. That's the key opening sequence, and you should be able to finish things off in the remaining 2 turns as shown. We encounter some guardsmen on stage 12. Aleph Null summons on the left, Imispec attacks in the middle, and Thutmose on the right. Expect your Scarabs to die, but cleanup should be easy on turn 2 with Thutmose and Imispec doing most of the heavy lifting, and there is an extra turn if you need it. "13 has a tight lightning victory of 2 turns. Aleph Null summons on the left. Makhotep kills the Dark Angel on the low ground, and Thutmose kills the one on the right. Imispec remains in Overwatch. On turn 2, Imispec should be able to kill most of the enemies on the left, and you might need to roll the dice on a flea, but you have insurance in the AoE active from Thutmose too. "13B challenge isn't too tricky. You can bring a 5th character if you want, but it isn't needed. Aleph Null summons on the left. Imispec and Makhotep kill the other Lascannon team, and Thutmose moves into position. Give Thutmose high ground on turn 2 and use his active to deal a bunch of damage to the Terminators. The rest of our team positions on the right, and alongside Imispec's active, we should be able to deal the bulk of the damage to the 2 enemies on the right. From there it isn't too exciting. Try and keep the high ground when you can and finish off the remaining units. Thutmose does most of the heavy lifting. For 14, summon on turn 1 with Aleph Null. Imispec moves up the right and eats some Overwatch, then Thutmose does the same. Imispec kills the bottom guy, and Thutmose makes a normal attack against the middle Dark Angels. On turn 2, Imispec kills the Lascannon, and then Thutmose moves to the right and uses his active. You're going to have a bit of variation depending on fleas and which enemies get hit by the abilities, but you have a bit of time to clean up after this core sequence of events. For 15, on turn 1 we move onto the barbed wire on the bottom left and summon with Aleph Null on the top heavy weapons team. Imispec moves on the right and uses his active. Thutmose moves to the middle and makes an attack, and Makhotep reactivates the Scarabs. You're going to get some variation on turn 2 depending on how the Scarabs act, but that is the core opening sequence. Try and use Thutmose from the high ground and use the remaining 2 turns to finish the fight. For 16, we move up with Aleph Null and summon on the middle Dark Angel. Imispec takes the left and attacks the middle, and we finish off that unit with Thutmose, regardless of how the passive bounces. From there, you have a generous 2-turn limit to finish off the enemies, as you still have both Imispec and Thutmoses active. For 17, we fight Forecast, summon on the left with Aleph Null. You can then kill Forecast at range using both Imispec and Thutmoses actives. Reactivate the Scarab Swarms with Makhotep. From there, you have a generous 3-turn limit to finish off the other 4 units. Giving Thutmose high ground will help with the damage output, but it's pretty comfortable anyway. '18 is another easy one. Move up as shown and pass the turn. Summon with Aleph on the top right on turn 2. Your other 2 Necrons attack on the left. Honestly, there's nothing fancy here. The enemies don't do enough damage to kill you, and you can finish the fight pretty easily without intricate play. For 19, Thutmose moves onto the right and kills the Dark Angel. The rest of the squad just turtles. Thutmose moves up and enjoys a heal from Aleph, who summons on turn 2. Thut uses his active on turn 2 and Imispec makes a normal attack. From there, it's just cleanup. Mission 20 is doable with 4 characters if your Scarabs duplicate at least once, otherwise you do need to bring a 5th Necron. We turtle on turn 1, and then on turn 2 we summon with Aleph Null on the bottom right and reactivate your Scarabs with Makhotep. On this turn you'll get some variation depending on how the Scarabs move, but ideally you finish off the right flank with Thutmose. From there you just try and keep the high ground when possible and finish the fight. If you have either of the other 2 Necrons, things become noticeably easier, but this clip is more of a proof of concept than anything else. Having said that we've done everything with 4 characters, level 21 was the only exception to that. Lightning Victory simply isn't possible without 5, and even then you still need some crits. Aleph Null summons on the left. 3 of the gang kill the guy on the right, and Thutmose moves left to kill the middle Dark Angel. Thutmose uses his active on turn 2, and Anafet summons 4 Necron warriors. Makhotep's active sends 2 of them to work before Aleph Null attacks the Terminator and Imispec uses his active. That's the core sequence, and you need some crit luck to Lightning Victory. For 22, we turtle on the bottom left on turn 1. On turn 2, Imispec takes the highest ground and makes a normal attack. Thutmose remains stationary and uses his active and does a bit more damage from the high ground. Use Aleph Null to summon and Makhotep to trigger the Scarabs again. From there it should be relatively easy to finish and take advantage of high ground spots. For 23, we summon with Aleph Null on the right, kill an enemy on the left with Makhotep and another in the middle with Thutmose. Immaspec attacks the guy on the left. The Scarabs should soak the enemy attacks for an easy cleanup as required. For 24, we summon with Aleph on the bottom left and turtle up. The enemies should move into position as shown and you have 2 turns to defeat 3 enemies. Easy stuff. "25 is another easy one. We turtle on the bottom right on turn 1. On turn 2, Thutmose takes the high ground and uses his active and deals with 1.5 Terminators. Aleph's Scarabs should finish the second Terminator off, and we have lots of time to finish the battle. 25B is another challenge that is doable with 4 characters. Follow the order shown. Immaspec moves and kills the Vox. Aleph Null summons on Sarkoel. Thutmose actives on the top, and then Makhotep uses his active. After that, your run may diverge depending on your Scarab duplications or lack thereof. Fortunately, the AI does mostly the same thing shown here, and you can always use a similar strategy. If you have a 5th Necron, send them down south on turn 1 away from the more dangerous Dark Angels. "26 is trickier and requires a few crits for lightning victory. We push up as shown on turn 1 and await the Terminator advance. Move up and use Thutmose's active. You should try and target the Terminators who are not next to the Watcher in the dark, who will eat up a lot of hits. Summon with Aleph Null is shown, and hopefully with some crits, then Immaspec's active will kill 2 Terminators. You do need some crits on the last turn to finish things off. "27 sadly also does rely on some crits for lightning victory. Aleph Null summons in the middle and Immaspec kills a guy on the right. The rest of the squad moves into position. On turn 2, Thutmose moves into the middle and uses his active, dealing a chunk of damage to the Terminators. That is the key bit you need crits for, and if you roll well, then the rest of the battle is easy enough to finish. For 28, I'm showing the worst case scenario here. We spend 1 turtling on the bottom left and self-repairing Aleph Null. On turn 2, Thutmose moves to the left and uses his active, and Aleph Null summons on the remaining Terminator. Usually Immaspec will be able to finish the Terminator off, and that leaves room for Makhotep to move in and reactivate the Scarab. The rest of the replay runs through here to demonstrate that even if you are super unlucky, you still have a generous turn cap to finish this battle comfortably. "29 was surprisingly easy. We summon on the left with Aleph Null, kill the Voxcaster on the right with Thutmose, and reactivate the Scarabs with Makhotep. Immaspec moves into position to overwatch. The following turns will have a bit of RNG depending on Scarab duplication, but it should be easy enough to finish off with a generous turn timer. I took the high ground on turn 2 with Thutmose for some extra damage. We fight the lion for battle 30. We use our faithful 4 Necrons, but obviously you'll have a better time if you have a 5th. On turn 2, we summon with Elf Null, and Thutmose's active should deal the bulk of the damage to the NPC Dark Angels. That creates room for Makhotep to reactivate the Scarabs. On turn 3, use Makhotep to move the Watcher away from the Lion and get the rest of the squad in to keep hitting him. The same thing again happens on the final turn. Use one of your Necrons to move the Watcher away and use the rest to attack the Lion on the low ground. The Lion runs away when he reaches half health and it's counted as a victory. Okay, that's all she wrote, and a longer video. Thank you for Mrs. Nandi for editing that all together. Thank you to my Patreons and YouTube members for their support, and bye for now.